The time is now 24 minutes past 7. Marcus O'Neill is a brave man. He's a musician, successful but not terribly famous, who went to law to challenge one of the industry giants, a body called PPL that pays royalties to musicians. He said he'd been underpaid and he won. He went further. He argued that other independent artists might not always be getting their due. PPL have said that's not true and the case was a one-off. So, in this age of growing pressure on musicians' incomes, how easy is it to cash in on your royalties? Tom Bateman reports.
Making music doesn't always make money like it once did. Streaming, illegal downloading, the decline of the album, it's all added to the strain felt by musicians.
No more sad songs in the meantime. No more sad songs.
So for Marcus O'Neill and his band Big Strides, royalties from radio and TV airplay, in fact any public performance of their recordings, were an important source of cash.
Hey Marcus, how you doing?
Yeah, it's the studio here. We've got the Pro Tools set up on the computer.
So this is where you actually play and record stuff?
Yeah, in the booth.
But he claimed royalties to his musicians and his label were underpaid to the tune of around £10,000 over 6 years. His complaint was with one of the major bodies to collect royalties from broadcasters and dish them out to musicians, PPL.
Yeah, they just weren't accounting properly. There were tracks that weren't in their statements that I knew had been on TV internationally and radio shows and stuff, and so to me it was quite clear that there was stuff missing. It's about 5 years ago I started, asking them.
So when you felt that you weren't getting what you were owed, what did you do?
I first of all treated it as just a thing of having to escalate it to someone who would sort it out, and then it just kind of dragged on and ended up with the court case, and the judge awarded us the money. And the great thing was that as well as paying the record companies half, by order of the court, PPL elected to pay the same amount to the performers. So my old band got what they deserved after a 5-year battle, and we got, around £10,000.
It was a row in 1934 over this recording of the Black Domino by the London Symphony Orchestra that created the royalty payment system that remains to this day. The owner of a cafe in Bristol had been playing the record in his coffee and tea rooms. The copyright holder, the gramophone company, later to become EMI, sued the coffee shop and won. The record label then joined forces with its rival Decca to form an industry-wide body gathering up royalty payments. Phonographic Performance Limited.
Yeah, Peter Leatham, Chief Executive at PPL. PPL lowers the barriers to entry. It's free to join. If you've produced a recording and you own that recording, you can come and join us, you can register it with us. If your recording is played, then you will be paid the same rate per second, whether you're big or small. And so actually we're a very democratic company, not for profit, run for the benefit of the wider music industry.
He says the court case with Marcus O'Neill was a one-off, that part of the underpayment claim wasn't backed up with adequate evidence. The judge misunderstood the case, he says, and made the wrong decision. So what of the musicians' claim that PPL, formed of the major record labels, superserves them? Just not true, says Peter Leatham.
No, it doesn't work like that. Getting 18,000 recording details, new ones a week, it shows the process is working. We made at least one payment this year to 55,000 performers and 5,500 record companies, and I think that sort of demonstrates the process and the system is working pretty well.
PPL represents a crucial income for thousands of musicians, collecting £176 million last year. But Marcus O'Neill's case, in which he represented himself, marks the exception in an industry where some do lose out, according to one music lawyer, because they simply don't know what they're entitled to and which bodies to register with. Equally, he says, as many of his clients are well served by the system. There is, though, much more to an income from music than royalties alone, and it can be daunting for the small guy. Leonard Lowy's been in practice since the late 1970s.
It is definitely complicated, and that's why people need lawyers, and that's why people like me are engaged in this occupation, because we are needed. No question, you can't navigate your way through in most cases without a lawyer, and despite the sterling efforts of Mr. O'Neill, I think that's the exception rather than the rule.
Tom Bateman reporting, 28 minutes past 7. Gary's here with the sport.